That hurt bad.
Big hit for the 6 of Trevor Bayne.
That hurt so bad.
You can see there was damage already on the car. He had the tape on the front.
You heard him say how big of an impact that was.
Let's look at what happened.
We were just talking about late in the run. Well, there you go. Oh, gosh. Such an impact.
Trevor Bayne is one of the nicest NASCAR drivers you will ever meet. But there's also a saying where only good guys finish last. And in this case, it's kind of right. So today we are going to talk about the greatest one-hit wonder in NASCAR Cup Series history, Trevor Bayne. So let's get into it. After dominating in the Allison Legacy Race Series where he would win Rookie of the Year and in his sophomore season would become the series champion, he would move up all the way to the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series Southern Division where he would win Rookie of the Year. Then after finishing second in his sophomore year in the Hooters Pro Cup Series, DEI would take notice and in 2008 they would hire him to drive in their #1 driver developmental program car in the NASCAR Camping World East Series. He would go on to score 1 win, 8 top 10s, 2 poles, along with an average finish of 9.6 and would finish 4th in the standings. Despite having this strong season, DEI would merge with Ganassi Racing, which did not have a nationwide series program, meaning that Bayne was out of the ride. Just for a little bit though. Bayne would do a 1-race deal with Means Racing to drive his number 52 Chevrolet, but then a couple weeks later, Michael Waltrip Racing would sign Trevor Bayne on a limited schedule in the nationwide series. Immediately, he would show flashes of his potential, but it didn't come without its struggles.
In case you weren't with us a little bit earlier for qualifying, this is 18-year-old Trevor Bayne becoming the 3rd youngest pole winner in nationwide series history behind Casey Atwood and Joey Logano. And he has decided to start from the outside.
See the caution waving on the right-hand side. Stephen Wallace right behind him. Oh, that's what happens. They just checked up because the caution car starts to pull out in front of the field right
yes,
there.
Yes, he did. Caution car come out a little early there.
Unbelievable. Way too early.
They were both on the brakes.
In his first season in the Nationwide Series, he would make 15 starts while scoring 2 top 10s a pole and having an average finish of 18th. Then in 2010, while driving for Michael Waltrip Racing full-time, he would score 0 wins, 6 top 5s, 11 top 10s, 3 poles, and an average finish of 16th while finishing 7th in the points. Soon after, the Wood brothers would give Trevor Bayne his first opportunity in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. He would make his Sprint Cup Series debut at the fall race at Texas in 2010. During the offseason, the Wood brothers would pick him up again in 2011 to do a few cup races here and there, but nobody could have predicted what was next to come that coming February.
Former pole sitter of the 500. Edwards has room underneath. Now he pushes Trevor Bayne.
It's over.
Cinderella.
Trevor Bayne is going to win the Daytona 500.
Unbelievable.
Happy birthday, Trevor Bayne, 20 years old.
Are you kidding me? What?
In just his second career Cup Series start, 20-year-old Trevor Bayne would take home the 2011 Daytona 500. So naturally, after this win, there was a lot of hype going on saying, oh, Trevor Bayne's the next big thing, watch him win all these races and championships. No, not me. I was not sipping the Kool-Aid just yet. I mean, let's be honest here, anyone could have won that Daytona 500. And I know that's gonna sound a little controversial, but just let me explain. So in 2011, we had this thing called Tandem Drafting, and basically it was just 2 cars drafting with one another, bumper to bumper, and pretty much they would have to de-link from time to time and switch positions because the car in the back would overheat if he was behind his partner too long. I mean, this required little to no skill set. All you had to do was just stay hard in the throttle and just link up with somebody. Towards the end of the race, Trevor Bayne was actually the pusher to David Reagan. I mean, it looked for a moment like Trevor Bayne was going to push David Reagan to his first career win. But then Reagan makes the biggest mistake of his entire career and decides to switch lanes before reaching the start-finish line. I'm convinced that if David Ragan had waited until he reached the start-finish line to switch lanes, Trevor Bayne would have pushed Ragan to his first career Daytona 500 victory. Still, nonetheless, Trevor Bayne would go on to win the Daytona 500, and soon after, the Wood brothers would tap him to drive a few more races during the 2011 Cup Series schedule. He would race with them all the way up until the 2014 Cup Series season, and while this 2011 Daytona 500 was a magical day for him and that team, the rest of his time there was a straight-up nightmare.
I wonder if they'll try to repair this car as Trevor Bayne's in the fence. Pretty hard.
That'd be pretty hard to repair with that much rear damage. You'd have to have a frame machine to fix that. Montoya right here, big time. This Montoya up off the ground.
Watch the 2 car. He'll duck down a little bit. Just hooks the 21 to Trevor. There's nothing Trevor can do in that deal except for hanging on.
That's what happened. He just ran out of fuel right here, start finish line. Actually on the front straight.
That'll be wrong in the fuel cell. Has to be. I mean, that's 2 laps less than last time.
Something's wrong, Nick. We're out of gas.
Yeah, it didn't hit it that hard, but it looks like he may have a tire going down.
Cole Witt had just gotten back on the lead lap with a free pass a little while ago. If you've been with us for the
Hey, get
entire
tires
race,
on it, guys. Get tires on it here first.
you know Trevor Bayne has had a difficult day. He's been in the wall a couple of times. Trevor Bayne, who had such
on it, guys. We'll see what we do.
a tremendous run going all day long, has hit the wall in the 21 car in turn 1 pretty solidly.
Yeah, you'd have to wonder if this is a result of maybe as he came onto pit road a while ago, he might have slid the tires just a little bit and that got that left front and then it blew out. It's unfortunate. Wood brothers had a great car for Trevor here today.
Huge amount of smoke from Bayne's car, and that puts us under caution.
Yeah, he's up in smoke, and there's a huge trail of oil all through 1 and 2 down there.
Transmission blew up here, Donnie. If we need a transmission, it's not the engine, it's the tranny.
That whole race team.
That team had a top 10 finish here a year ago.
Trouble, Trevor Bayne's around. Big crash for Bayne. Past winner of the 500, and with 17 to go.
Just hold the brake. Hold the brake.
We're under caution for the 5th time.
So his combined stats while driving for the Wood brothers are this: 1 win, 1 top 5, 3 top 10s, and a combined average finish of 26.4. So while he was driving part-time in the Cup Series, he was still driving full-time in the Xfinity Series for Roush Racing beginning in 2011. He would pick up 2 wins in 3 seasons while driving for them, while finishing 6th in the standings for 2 straight seasons in 2013 and 2014. He would be tapped to drive the number 6 car in 2015 in the Cup Series for them, and you thought the Wood brothers was bad? Just take a look.
Spin into the wall, Trevor Bayne. The 2011 winner had just taken over the bubble spot when he found the wall and slides down to the apron at turn 2.
I'm good.
Idea what happened here with the 6 car of Trevor Bayne. See him right here. Kyle Larson on the inside in the 42 car. Clean, but the car just stepped out. I mean, when he went into the corner and he turned into the corner, that thing just stepped out with him. It got loose and away it went.
Coming off turn 4 here.
Right back here, and looks like Trevor tries to move up.
Yep, Mike
46, and that was there. Hits that inside wall hard.
And Annette gets tagged by his teammate Allgaier.
Allgaier was right on top of him and ran the back of the 46. It's just so hard, man, when you come off a corner 2 or 4, it's so hard to clear that guy on the outside, man. You're just never quite sure, and wasn't enough room.
The 11 was hitting the 4 so hard that he had the rear tires off.
And behind him, there's a wreck. Into the wall goes Trevor Bayne in the 6.
Yellow's out here, yellow's out.
Now we'll have a green-white checker. Now will we have a fuel issue? Crew Chief Steve Letarte.
Still outside. What?
Just looks like 3 cars trying to go down to turn 1 and not enough room, and the 6 gets turned around and up the track he goes.
So a lot of damage to the 6 of Trevor Bayne.
Yeah, he was driving angrily back to the pits because this is not the Brickyard 500 he was hoping to have.
Elliott Sadler and Jeffrey Earnhardt behind him.
Was Blaney coming to pit road there?
It almost looked like it because it looked like he was trying to drop down.
Maybe had to avoid him.
It looked like the 21 was definitely dropping down.
He was slowing.
Yeah. Yeah, look at him. It's either he's out of control.
He either got loose coming off of turn 4, or he was headed to pit road. Either way, they had to. The 7 of Elliott Sadler had to avoid him. That made contact with the 17, the 6.
The 5, basically, you said, forced the issue. He thought he was inside the 6. He was just barely inside the bumper cover. The 6 of Trevor Bayne was committing to the bottom of the racetrack. They make contact. It ends up costing both drivers a race.
It's just a fight for the bottom. You know, if we were at Michigan, Trevor Bayne wouldn't care if Casey, if Casey was underneath him. He'd just run the middle of the racetrack. But here you have to be on the bottom. So it's a fight for the bottom.
And try to put distance between himself and the field. Oh, around goes the 6. Trevor Bayne into the inside wall. The 15 of Clint Boyer also. Caution is out. They didn't get back to the white. We will now have overtime.
Back around here.
Another driver that was right on the cut line to get into the playoffs. Trevor Bayne in the 6. Free pass will go to the 34. So Chris Buescher will be back on the lead lap. And that will put 19 cars on the lead lap as we will attempt overtime for the first time.
That's definitely laying some oil down on the surface.
Here's 2 laps ago, trying to go to the outside of Ryan Newman.
Ooh, yeah, makes a little contact with the right front. That will fold that fender in on the tire. I think that's exactly what happened. He blew a right front tire.
51 kind of caught in the middle. And,
yeah, Bayne just didn't know Buescher was on the outside.
Yep. Ooh.
Blaney just know where to go. This Rhodes slides up the racetrack.
Wait from the ruling from NASCAR, because with those 2 being the only cars on the lead lap, 1 lap down, whether either of them would receive a free pass. Yeah. Usually the car that brings out the caution is not eligible.
Yeah, which one?
Which one do you think it ought to be?
I'm not making that call.
So his combined Cup Series stats are this: 0 wins, 4 top 5s, 13 top 10s, with a best points finish of 22nd coming in 2016 and 2017, and a combined average finish of 22.2. It got so bad that Matt Kenseth had to be resurrected out of retirement to drive part-time for them, and he's already done a way better job than Trevor Bayne ever did. Honestly, I'd say it's about 75% Trevor Bayne's fault and 25% Wood Brothers / Rouse Racing's fault here. Just because not only were they not really all that good, they still allowed him to drive in their cars after he was wrecking them all the time. Add that with the announcement last week that Trevor Bayne would not be returning to Rouse Racing in 2019, I think it's safe to say his Cup Series career is officially over. He can no longer ride off the coattails of his Daytona 500 victory. And once again, that'll do it for another video. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Black Flags Matter. Catch you next time.